Do you always just take? Or have you ever actually given anything back?
You won't believe how a single, biting question from a stranger can dismantle a person's entire identity and rebuild it from the floor up. We often hear that a man's greatness is defined by the quality of his thoughts, right? It is a bit of a cliche. I assent. It. We look at the titans of industry, the blokes who build empires from garages and dorm rooms, and we tell ourselves they simply thought they're way to the top. But if that's the absolute truth, why is the world full of people working themselves to the bone, dreaming of a better life, yet staying exactly where they are? Do they lack imagination, or is there a missing gear in the engine of success that no one bothered to tell them about? Today, we're going on a journey through the soot-stained platforms of a busy terminal to find that missing piece. This isn't just a story, it's a masterclass in perspective that will leave you questioning how you present yourself to the world. Stick with me, because by the time we reach the final stop, you'll see your own potential in a light you never thought possible. Imagine, if you will, the relentless hum of a London railway station at rush hour. The air is thick with the scent of overpriced coffee, diesel fumes, and the damp wool of 1,000 coats. It's a place of transition, where everyone is headed somewhere important, eyes fixed on departures boards, clutching briefcases like shields. In the middle of this frantic river of humanity sat a man who wasn't going anywhere. For years, he had been a permanent fixture of the concrete, a shadow leaning against the cold bricks. He lived on the crumbs of other people's journeys. His day was measured not in hours, but in the clink of copper coins dropped into a battered tin cup. He was a beggar, and in his mind, that was all he would ever be. He saw himself as a ghost in the machine, someone the world owed a living to, simply because he had nothing. Now, one Tuesday morning, the drizzle was particularly gray, and the mood in the station was somber. The beggar watched the crowds, looking for a mark. Someone who looked soft-hearted, or perhaps guilty enough to spare a bit of change. That's when he saw him. A man stepped onto the platform who seemed to vibrate with a different kind of energy. He wore a charcoal gray suit, tailored to perfection, and carried himself with the quiet confidence of someone who owned the air he breathed. The beggar's eyes lit up. He thought, right, here we go. This chap is clearly loaded. One look at me and he'll surely drop a $5, just to ease his conscience. With a practiced, humble shuffle, the beggar approached. He stretched out a hand, his face etched with a look of well-rehearsed misery. But as he opened his mouth to recite his usual plea, something went off script. The businessman didn't look away. He didn't reach for his wallet. Instead, he stopped dead in his tracks and looked the beggar straight in the eye with a piercing, analytical gaze. It wasn't a look of disgust. It was a look of genuine inquiry. "Tell me," the businessman said, his voice cutting through the station noise like a bell. "Do you always just take? Have you ever actually given anything to anyone in your entire life?" The beggar froze. The question felt like a physical blow. It was so outside the realm of his daily interactions that he actually stumbled over his words. He felt a flush of indignation. "Sir," he stammered, "look at me. I'm a beggar. I survive on the kindness of strangers. I haven't got a penny to my name, let alone anything to give away." "How can you ask such a thing?" The businessman offered a thin, knowing smile. He didn't look angry. He looked almost disappointed. "You see, that's where you've got it all wrong," he replied calmly. "I am a man of commerce. I believe in the sacred law of exchange. In my world, value follows value. If you can offer me something as service, a product, even a moment of genuine worth, then I am more than happy to give you something in return. But if you truly believe you have absolutely nothing to offer the world, then, by your own logic, you have no right to ask for anything from it. I don't give handouts. Primera ma. Get rates." Without another word, the businessman turned and disappeared into the carriage of the departing express. The beggar stood there, his hand still outstretched, but it felt heavy now, useless. For the first time in a decade, he felt a spark of genuine shame, not because of his poverty, but because of his vacuum. He realized that for years, he had been a taker, a black hole in the station's economy. He had spent his nights thinking about what he lacked, never once considering what he possessed. That night, the station grew quiet, but the beggar's mind was a riot of noise. The businessman's words were on a loop. If you want to receive, you must first give. It sounded like madness. What could a man with holes in his shoes possibly contribute to society? He stayed awake, watching the moonlight filter through the high glass roof. He didn't beg the next day. He didn't beg the day after that. He sat and observed. He watched the way people traded smiles. The way the kiosk owners traded newspapers for coins. The way the world was a giant, interconnected web of this for that. On the third morning, while wandering near the edge of the station tracks, where the concrete gave way to patches of neglected earth, he saw them. Wildflowers. Stubborn, bright, resilient, little things, pushing through the gravel. They were beautiful, and more importantly, tear-wear-free. A frantic, electric idea began to take root in his mind. What if he stopped being a charity case and started being a provider? He spent the morning carefully gathering a bouquet, picking the most vibrant yellows and deep purples he could find. He returned to his spot, but he didn't sit on the floor. He stood up straight. When a woman passed by and dropped a coin into his cup, he didn't just mutter a thanks. He reached out, selected a beautiful wildflower, and handed it to her with a genuine smile. "For you, madam," he said. "In exchange for your kindness." The change in the air was instantaneous. The woman stopped, startled. A look of pure delight broke across her face. Rare thing in a London station. "Oh, they're lovely," she exclaimed. "Thank you so much." She walked away with a bit more spring in her step, and the beggar felt something he hadn't felt in years. Pride. He wasn't a beggar anymore. He was a florist. The days turned into weeks, and the flower man of the station became a local legend. He noticed a fascinating trend. When he simply asked for money, people looked at the floor and hurried past. But when he offered a flower, they made eye contact. They engaged. They gave more, and they gave more often. He learned that people don't actually mind giving. They just hate feeling like they're being drained. They love to feel like they are part of a beautiful exchange. One afternoon, the charcoal suit returned. The businessman was back on the platform, waiting for his usual connection. The beggar, though, he was hardly a beggar now. With his cleaned-up coat and his basket of blooms rushed over. He didn't wait for the man to notice him. He stepped forward with confidence. "Sir, a moment of your time," he called out. The businessman turned. Squinting, the beggar held out a particularly fine bunch of flowers. "Today, I am not asking for a handout. I am offering you the finest selection of the morning's pick. If you have a few coins to spare, I would be honored to trade them for these." The businessman's eyes twinkled. He reached into his pocket, handed over a significant sum, far more than the flowers were worth, and took the bouquet. He looked the man up and down, noticing the change in his posture and the clarity in his eyes. "Well done," the businessman whispered. "You've finally stopped seeing yourself as a victim of the world and started seeing yourself as a partner to it. Today, my friend, you are no longer a beggar. You are a businessman." That sentence was the final piece of the puzzle. As the train pulled away, the man looked at the money in his hand. He realized that the business wasn't the flowers, it was the mindset. If he could sell flowers from a railway track, what else could he do? He realized that his potential was only limited by the size of the trade he was willing to make with life. 6 months passed. The station remained the same, busy, loud, and indifferent, but the man on the platform was unrecognizable. 2 men stood near the first-class boarding area, both in well-pressed suits, both carrying leather briefcases. One looked at the other, a sense of nagging familiarity tugging at his memory. "Excuse me," the first man said. "Do I know you? I have an excellent memory for faces, but I can't quite place yours." The second man laughed, a rich, warm sound. "We've met twice. Actually, right? Aaron. The first time, you told me I had no right to ask for anything if I had nothing to give. The second time, You bought flowers from me and told me I was a businessman. The first men's all nearly hit the platform. Good heavens. You're the man with the wildflowers. I can't believe it. Look at you. It's true, the former beggar said, shaking his hand firmly. I took your advice to heart. I realized that the world is a mirror. If I look into it and see a beggar, that's all the world will ever give me. But if I look into it and see a trader, a creator, a giver, then the world opens its doors. I started a small floral distribution business with the money I saved from those first few weeks. Today, I'm catching this train to sign a contract for my third shop. The businessman smiled, truly impressed. You didn't just change your job, did you? You changed your frequency. And that, my friends, is the heart of it all. We spend so much time waiting for the big break, for someone to notice us, for the universe to finally give us what we think we deserve. But the universe doesn't give you what you want. It gives you what you are. If you are a taker, you will always feel empty. But the moment you decide to be a giver, the moment you find even the smallest flower of value to offer the people around you, the entire economy of your life shifts. Success isn't something you pursue. It's something you attract by the person you become. So, have a look at your own tin cup today. What are you putting into the world? Are you waiting for a handout, or are you looking for an exchange? Remember, a smooth sea never made a skilled sailor, and a closed hand can never receive a blessing. Change your thoughts, offer your value, and watch your future rewrite itself. If this story struck a chord with you, do us a massive favor, hit that like button, and let us know in the comments what flower you're going to start offering the world today. Share this with someone who needs a reminder of their own worth. Until next time, keep your head up and your thoughts sharp. Cheers for watching. Your time is coming. Keep believing. Keep fighting. Don't just watch. Go out and prove them wrong. Thank you for being part of the journey. If you liked it, please like, comment, and subscribe. Bye.